our current version of FearlessFlight Live with our two of my favorite panelists here, Eric and Dieter, and our favorite flight attendant is off working. At least that's what she told us. So only crew scheduling knows for sure. So welcome everybody, and we're excited. We're well into the launch of the 201 class, the online course that we just opened, and our goal tonight is that we'll touch on some things that we talked about last week, but hopefully we'll get some questions from some people out there. First thing we always do is we always invite you to join Birds of a Feather if you have not done so previously. We're up to 917 and growing, and we would like to keep that growth going. And forgot what I was going to say. Eric, what was I going to say? You're my prompter.
917 and growing, and fashion prices, and what is that helping you?
Oh, okay. And we'll talk about that. We can go right into some questions. So we'll touch on the 5G problem that we talked about 2 weeks ago. There was a little bit of movement on that. The airlines and the folks that own the cell towers made an agreement. But I had a couple of questions come in, and so I sent out to anybody who's registered for the online course. You should have received today another video from me showing how to log in, where to log in. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Eric, but I'll register for something, that requires the login, and then I'll get all done, pay for it and everything, and close down the shopping cart thing. And then the next thing I know is I have no clue where to go to get the information. so in an effort not to let that happen to you all, what I did was I sent out, showed the link and showed how to log in and create a password. And if you can't do it, to create or reset your password and all that. And we had a couple of questions. One of them, I'll start off the top there. And that was, there are two of them in the same kind of vein. One of them is I'm not worried particularly about airplanes crashing. I just don't like being cooped up in there. And that's something we've heard for years. Okay. And at first blush, you might think, well, sure, then, maybe a fear of flying class isn't the place for me. But one question I come back with, and I just had a coaching call this week that I posed that question, is, if you weren't worried about something going wrong, why would you worry about being in a container that flies through the air, for the fact that you couldn't get out? And so it boils down to claustrophobia. And then another person asked me directly, I am bothered by claustrophobia. Will this class help me? And the answer to both of them is yes, absolutely. In fact, we like to say that the pain in your brain has nothing to do with the plane. So you're going to get benefit from going through a course, as this one is stated. The stated purpose is to help people overcome their fear of flying. But the real goal of this course is to help you learn to manage your attention. Because what happens is when you get triggered and your attention gets hijacked, that's what causes the problem. Whether the problem is because you don't like being trapped or feeling trapped, or whether you have some fear about the technical reliability of the. So it's a tension management course, and this helps in anywhere in your life where you might have a. And we know from 35 years of experience that people come in here with other areas in their life where they have phobias and issues with that. So anyway, so we would like to encourage any of you who might be attending to, if you want to ask questions, or those of you who have not made the decision yet to join us. If you got any questions that we can answer, we'd love to entertain those. And one thing for sure we need to mention, we extended the early bird cutoff. We're now going to have the early bird pricing in place until midnight, February 5th. And part of that, yeah, and part of that
is. I just want to jump in with that because we got some some questions about that, and in part, it's our great new system, which is really, really awesome. And by the way, if some of you who have already enrolled in the 201 class, if you are on right now, we'd love to hear if you have made it already into the student portal, and if you already perused some of the content that we have there. And if not, let me give you a gentle reminder that there's a lot of content in there. So go and check it out. Captain Ron did a lot of videos. But when I was setting up the early bird special, I just didn't know enough. And so some of you wanted to join, and those links weren't working. So until we figured it out, so we said, okay, we're going to extend it. And it's now until we extended to February 5th, correct? Midnight Arizona
midnight
time.
February 5th. Yep. And we didn't know about it until a couple of nice folks out there wrote us and said, hey, you can't purchase the course. So that's when Dieter got his special troubleshooting hat on, and we got it all set up. So if anybody was out there and they couldn't get on and they just said, heck with it, come back. And even if you have logged into the site and had already looked around, look again, because we've added more content. And I will be doing that. The goal, content is king. Okay, this is the first time where we've actually been able to fulfill our dream and purpose to have content up and available, which answers another question that I got is, hey, should I wait until February 10th for the first webinar? Absolutely not. No more ever do that. Go get in there and just move around wherever you want to go. We've outlined the first four steps for you to do in there that we suggest. But this is a content-rich program, and the webinars are going to be a little bit different. They'll be even more important if you can attend them live, because there's going to be a lot more participation. But what we're going to do is we're going to coalesce all of the information for the module leading up to the webinar, and then during the webinar we're going to disseminate some additional information, but mainly we're going to attend to questions and concerns that you all have.
Questions, there's already a bunch rolling in. So Michelle, what happens if you sign up? That's a question Michelle has. What happens if you sign up and you then change your mind about taking the flight? So I'm just gonna say, first of all, we wanted to make it accessible to anyone around the world, so you can take the online course, get access to it, and you don't have to fly. And there is actually questions about when is the Burbank flight, and I'll let you answer that as well, Ron. Okay,
so Burbank is, okay, so Phoenix is the first flight. So we're gonna go, the webinars, as soon as you enroll in the class, you get access to the student portal. Okay, and then you can start picking and choosing. And in there, one of the first modules in there or lessons in there is all of the flights. Okay, so if you're flying, then you can go in there, get that, and get over and buy your ticket, because you know how important that is, so that Southwest doesn't get any more of your money than they absolutely have to. Okay, so then the first webinar will be on February 10th, and then February 17th, February 24th, and then I believe if my math is right, March 3rd, I think. Let me.
I'll put the exact dates in the chat. For
yeah. And I had a slide there.
The flight dates in there as well. But suffice to say.
Yeah. So then after the last third, so it's 4 successive Thursday nights from 6:30 in Pacific time zone, 9:30 start time in the Eastern time zone. And then after the fourth one, then the next Saturday is March 5th. And anybody who's going to be in the Phoenix area who wants to fly with us, we're going to go to the Phoenix airport and we're going to go to Burbank and back. All right. So that's on the 5th. Then next week, we're going to go to Boston. And that'll be March 12th. And we'll do the same thing. I'll fly up there. I'll probably have to go up a day or two ahead of time, just to make sure that we don't get sideswiped by the weather or anything. And then we'll fly there, and we're going to fly from Boston to Baltimore and back. Okay. And then the next week, March 19th, we're going back to LA because we got a lot of people left over back there that didn't fly the first time. Some who paid for it, to answer your question. Some paid for it and they said, I'm just going to leave it there until I go the next time. So they get to audit the class, which you will. If you paid for this class, you get to audit it for the next 3 months. And so March 19th, we will go to Burbank and we're going to fly to Sacramento and back. So it's Phoenix to Burbank and back, Boston to Baltimore and back, and Burbank to Sacramento and back. Okay. And
I'm just going to say, Tom, the exact flight numbers and everything is in the Cleared for Takeoff 201 portal, in the student portal. And Susan, I'm going to actually put the link also in chat. So so that link will get you straight to the course dashboard. You might have to log in, obviously, but then you will see in the introduction on the left-hand side, you can choose what information there's going to be declared for Takeoff 301 graduation flights, and there's a video that we have in there as well. So, but I will put this into the chat in just a moment.
I was going to say, I could actually pull that, I could go in there and put that and share my screen here in just a minute if you want, Dieter.
Yeah,
just
but for anybody who's also wanting, I'll put it in chat still, but if you want to share the screen, it's fine.
Yeah.
The other question that came up here, half of me fears the feeling of what it might feel like at a liftoff and landing. The other half of me fears the claustrophobic part, feeling that may make me panic. So I think you addressed a little bit of that before, but what would you say to
what was the first part, Peter?
So basically Albert is saying that he has two really main challenges when it comes to his fear of flying. That it's what happens or potentially could happen in terms of the feeling that he experienced at liftoff and also at landing. So it's just that sensation that he's experiencing, that it's overtaking him potentially. And then the claustrophobia kicks in kind of like in between, when he's got nothing, when he doesn't have the landing to worry about yet, or he's just made it through the takeoff. So
okay, so sensations, we talked about many or often. The sensations, I think, are the primary trigger for most people. You can see things that you don't understand, that can catch your attention. You can feel things or hear things that you don't understand, and that can trigger you. But the biggest thing in an airplane is the number of sensations that you can feel. And what does that do? It grabs your attention. So remember, fear of flying is an attention problem. It's how to move your attention from where it wants to go back to where you have control over it again. Eric, when you learned to fly, was it, did you want to fly from when you're a little, like that, or okay? When your first flight, do you remember anything about your first flight? Okay.
Pretty vividly, yeah. I mean,
okay.
It was startling.
For me, same thing. And the sensations got me. I was in an old air coupe. I didn't even know what that was, and it had a low wing. It wasn't a Cessna. And I remember sitting there, and when we lifted off, and that wasn't so much because, of course, it wasn't the most powerful airplane in the world either. But when we got up there, but when he turned to depart the traffic pattern, oh my God, I could, because with a low wing airplane, you look out and you can't see the ground, right? Because it's blocking you. Right. But when he lowered that wing, and it was only probably 15 degrees, holy crap, I could see way too much dirt, and I was convinced that I was going to fall out of the airplane, and so I remember that. And then he was really gentle. He was a carrier pilot from World War II, but he was a really, really nice guy, really easygoing guy. And then when we came back in the power, or in the pattern, when he pulled off the power, it's, because my ears had become attuned to the roar of that little engine out there. And so when he pulled the power off, it sounded like the engine quit. And literally, you could hear the wind outside, and now we're descending into the pattern there. So my own experience is the sensations. And when I before I was a military pilot, I had the opportunity to fly in a couple of military fighters, and oh my God, I had no idea what was going on. And we were pulling 5Gs and 6Gs and snapping up and doing an interceptor mission, and, you know, as if we're launching a missile and all that. I had no clue what was going on. And fortunately, I had good guys, and they talked to me, and I didn't have to throw up, but I got close on a couple of occasions. So.
Yeah, I remember that too, and it was like a 20-degree day in Iowa. So as soon as he advanced the power in the airplane, it just sounded like a lawn boy on high, and it was there was no roll. It just kind of went up into the air and started flying. I go, well, I guess it's too late to worry about that part. Yeah. And yeah, it was all strange. I remember those. I remember that. Yeah, it is scary. And my smart mouth remark was, oh yeah, even after thousands of hours, we fear the landings, especially if we've been betting with the first officer on who's gonna hit it hard first on a grease, or B, if you actually do hit it hard, how you'll be disemboweled in seconds by the flight attendants on the interphone, coming up and said, well, gee, you didn't tell us it was going to be your first day, and so on and so forth. They'll just drag you through the dirt horribly. They're just merciless.
Yeah. So when you go back to that 20-degree day, okay, was that your first lesson, or was that just like a dollar ride?
That was like a dollar ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then your first lesson. So what happened to your attention was, you know, grabbed by various things in there. So what happened, you know, to make that not be a factor anymore? What allowed you to move your attention around to other things?
The same thing that we do with our peeps, just routine, repetitiveness.
Yeah.
And I was trying to learn something and accomplish something. So I was focused on other things. And so that other part didn't matter as it became routine.
Yeah. For me, the instructor just started giving me tasks to perform. And because I wanted to perform those tasks, and I wanted to do well, and I wanted to learn how to fly, my attention automatically was just moved onto those things. And so I didn't leave this unused bandwidth, if you will, to worry about how I was feeling. And that's the disadvantage. I was talking to Sonia, who was our guest back in December today, and you know, and she did really, really well on the first couple of flights that we took, and she's taken, I think she's taken 2 or 3 since that time, and then the last one, she was visiting her daughter, had seen the birth of her first grandbaby, and coming back, and then she realized, you know, kind of like Eric and I've talked about, you get a little cocky, you know, when everything's going smooth and all that, and the next thing you do, you notice you run into the Mother Earth a little harder than you planned on. And so for fearful flyers, it's the same thing. When you learn some skills and some techniques that you can focus on, and Sonia was saying she had a little ritual, but prior to her flight leaving Chicago and coming back home here in Phoenix, she kind of didn't worry about it as much leading up to it, because she had been so successful going up to visit her daughter on her own. But then when she got in there, then her mind started to wander, and she said, you know, I didn't take my notes. I didn't review the things that I had reviewed when you and I flew together. And so it's a continued process. And that's why we have organized the portal up there where the content is, so that you have access for not just during the course, but 3 months after the course, because we want you to learn that this is an ongoing process, and you want to stay active and you want to stay engaged until you get more comfortable with that. And depending on how much you fly and how much you embrace it, you know, it can take a while to do it. But the next flight that you take is going to be a better experience than the last one. We can guarantee that.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Questions. Any more questions out there? I think Dieter's monitoring that.
I'm doing that too. That's why I keep looking sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely questions, but also the sensations. That's obviously the one that gets most fearful flyers, and also that feeling of getting overwhelmed. You know, like not being able to cope with the intensity, or even just the duration of the feelings that come up when we're about to board an airplane, or where, you know, there's Turbulence or, Takeoff. Those are the main sections. And I'm going to say this again, we have already content in the members area of the Cleared for Takeoff 201, where you can already start. Like, I really recommend that. Last week I had like my 5 tips of how to make this a really great experience for you. But the first one is really to check out Colleen's success story, because Colleen is such a great example, and she was gracious enough to really kind of work backwards with us and kind of go through all of the steps. And we have a great presentation from Anne Gray, also a former Fearful Flyer, and she did an amazing job to kind of share her journey. And then there's lots of other interviews in there. I just really want to encourage you to get familiar with it. And big thing that we haven't mentioned yet, we actually have the opportunity with the Cleared for Takeoff 201, an online, which is kind of like a Facebook group, but we wanted to keep it really to the course and only to those who are participating in the course. And so there is actually an online community feature. And when you're on the page, it's not always immediately intuitive. It's on the top right there, and you just click on community, and it allows you to introduce yourself, what you want to, where you live. Are you going to take the graduation flight? Are you planning to, or are you gonna, or what is the thing that you really want to get out of this course? It'll really also provide a means for that part that really makes you anchored into the commitment that you've made by enrolling in the course. And it'll allow others to kind of like get to know you, and you get to know others who are in this together with you. So I highly encourage that you take advantage of that. Ron, do you want to say anything about that social collaboration?
I want to build on what you said. You suggested that they go over and listen to Colleen. One of the things that I did in the last 2 classes is I have a number of interviews with people before they even took the course. So listen to other people's why. Okay, because right now there is, for most of you, here's what people report to me. I signed up for the class and now I'm scared to death. Of course you are. When people ask us, what's the most important thing to do if you want to get over your fear of flying, the first thing we say is go book a flight, because nothing makes it more present in the reality of your life than booking a flight. So once you do that, just accept the fact right now you're not even into the course yet. So don't panic about the feelings, the sensations, and things like that. But do go over and not only listen to the Colleen and some of the students, former students that Dieter has highlighted, but look down towards the bottom. We've got a number of people. You can hear where they were at when they did this, and then we have the graduation videos, and at least 2 of those in there. We have Rachel Iba has one in there, a post-class interview, what it was like for her. So those are the kinds of things is where I would put my attention right now. Put it on people who have had success, and because nothing can communicate to you better than the people who have gone before you. And that's the best thing about that. And again, to tout the content delivery system that we have here one more time, is it's really, really, really different from any of the other courses that you've taken with us before. So we want to do that.
I want to personally answer one of the things Michelle wrote. Actually, I flew with Captain Ron in 2010, did great, went from tears to elation, and you sat next to her and you really helped her. And then she did another class later that year and didn't do well at all. And then she took another flight, and basically what she's saying is, I'm not sure if I want to keep trying. And I'm gonna say, as a therapist myself, here's the thing, Michelle. Fear of flying is one of those things where you really don't have to, right? I mean, quite honestly, you can stay on the ground. Yes, it'll limit your ability to move, but you really don't have to. But the biggest thing about, and I don't know you, so I can say that, freely, I guess, is most of the fearful flyers have anxiety and challenges with anxiety in other areas. And I know, Dawn, you're on. I hope you're really well, and it's great to have you on the tonight again. Dawn was really super vulnerable a couple of shows back, and he said, well, there's so many other areas in my life where anxiety is part of my life, and fear of flying is kind of like it becomes like this focus. But I'm also going to encourage you that if you can find that vulnerability within you and move into that discomfort again and again, other areas of your life where you feel that anxiety, where you feel that, those feelings that make you go like this, it'll actually have that ripple effect in your life. So I'm just going to invite you to consider that it may not be just flicking a switch and everything is okay. Maybe this is part of your personal growth and your journey, but it will absolutely spill over into other areas of your life. And Eric, I see you nodding there. So I think,
I just wanted to say I have no therapy background and have never played one on TV, but my two observations are that they should not consider all of the course, all of it, and the flight and everything all at once. Just like I used to do when I think about a check ride coming up, I'd seize up, and it would always work out well. But 6 weeks prior, you think about one maneuver and the next maneuver and the next maneuver and the next maneuver. Just think about one step. And the big deal for me is I still remember, I think it was like March 2019, when we did that overnight in Burbank, and we had 50 people in that class, 50, and roughly 30 flew. And the 20 who didn't fly had not planned to fly. They just came to the class. But when we were all going to the airport to get on the airplane and they weren't, they looked like they were watching the last boat leave an island. They felt to the last person horrible that they had not bought a ticket and were not going with everybody they bonded with after listening. They felt tremendously bad for not trying it at that time.
Yeah, I remember that class.
We talk about the task. It's like eating an elephant, and how do you do it? You don't eat the whole elephant at the same time. You do it one bite at a time. And that's why the most important thing right now is to get into the content, start snooping around in there, listen to some other people, enjoy it, see what's coming up. And even as I'm saying that to you, you're going to see a lot more content in there that I'm going to upload by the time we get to the end of the course. And it's going to be an ongoing thing. So, all right. One of the things that I wanted to mention is we are now in February, and we normally would have had the first Saturday of the month, we would have had the local Phoenix Clear for Takeoff 101 class in person at the Sky Harbor Airport. We have now moved that to February 12th, the next weekend. And so if any of you out there who are in Phoenix, who are planning to take the class in particular, I want to invite you to go over and sign up for that and come out to the airport and meet with us, and because we'll hold the 101 class right at the airport there. And the best opportunity that comes with that is the ability to get on the airplane and just sit there when you don't have to worry about it moving. And I don't know whether Eric will be there or not, but I surely will, and we answer a lot of questions, and it's a great resource. And unfortunately, we can't pull it off in any of the other cities yet, but we're working towards that if we can. So
I hope to be there. I'll say that.
Yeah. And then Of course, we not only do we have the in-person class, but for those people who don't live in Phoenix and can't get to the airport, we have the Clear for Takeoff 101 class on I can't remember when that is, but it's on a Sunday morning, and normally it's after the 101 in-person class. So we have a lot of things that you can do. Just because you can't live in Phoenix here, we don't want that to be the limiting factor. So okay, Eric, Dieter, any other things that we need to talk about before we leave?
No, we just got a lot of let me hold on here for a second. Get in here. Just a lot of feedback from our longtime viewers that say, yeah, it's totally true. There's anxiety that manifests itself in other areas of our lives, and so when we kind of start working at it in one area, we kind of, these skills are truly portable, and
yeah.
And it's I'm gonna say this again because I remember that class that Eric, you were talking about, and I remember talking to, it was Sophie actually, who I think came back and flew with her husband, and that was such a crazy story. She made her kids and I think her mom drive across from LA to New York City.
Yes,
just crazy, and just to be with them. And the biggest thing is always that we wait because the shame keeps holding us back, and we think we're the worst ones and nobody is as bad as we are. And what would others think if they knew? And you feel that if you've never done a course with us in a class, then you definitely will feel that there is so much love and support when you realize that, oh my God, I'm not the only one, and others actually don't think I'm a complete screw up and whatever else. You have more choice words in your mind than I could say here on live, being live here. But once you recognize that, there's a settling that happens. There's a easing in, and you can't fake it. It's part of an experience that you give to yourself, and we can only do the best to facilitate it and work with you. But it's the courage that you have to lean into that, that's gonna really help transform that. And it's one step at a time. It's really powerful. Really powerful. So
we're gonna help you educate yourself. We're gonna help you learn how to distract or disrupt your thinking so that you can get on sooner rather than later onto an airplane. And we're gonna teach you how to move your attention around and manage it better. And then the last thing is as Dieter suggests, the social support is without a doubt, it's the hardest thing to describe when we're doing the classroom portion and doing the webinar. But even during the webinar, you'll start to feel some bonding with people in your class there. But when we go to the airport and fly, it's just an amazing experience to watch people who thought that they would never be able to pull this off just weeks before get on and have an absolute enjoyable time. And that's the word, enjoyable. It's people are always wondering, can I ever learn to love flying? Well, you can certainly learn to have it not destroy your attention and hijack your attention anymore. So
you can put up the picture of me with my guys on the way back from Ontario now to show everybody how relaxed they are.
Right.
That's true. We'll post the link. There was a question if we can post the link to sign up for the 101 at Sky Harbor, and you said it's on the 12th of.
It's on the 12th.
Right? Okay,
12th of February. 12th of February. Yeah. So
and I'm just gonna say what Oliver, you're so right, man. I just spent 2 months last year in Austria, and what he's saying in the comment is that the skills are perishable, and they are in a sense, but it's like the same with anything. If I don't speak German, which is my native language, and I only speak English, and I think in English, and I dream in English, and then all of a sudden I'm like in the situation where I gotta translate for my wife, and I gotta respond in German, and so if you don't use it, you lose it. However, I will also say the more we practice something, it sinks in, and the next time you need to retrieve that skill, it'll be there for you so much quicker, so much faster. So yes, you go through that initial inertia, but then once you're rolling, you build on it, and it'll be a much different experience than the last time, except our mind cannot wrap its head, so to speak, can't wrap its head around, because it can actually not experience. It can only make comments about experiences. And we really dive into that during the 201 big time.
Yeah,
so.
It is somewhat like learning a language. It's when you try to think differently, it's like learning anything new. You're predisposed to using the old thought patterns that you had, and that's what it's all about. It's about how to learn how to change your mind and change your story so that you can regain control over your attention. So with that,
Sue, she booked her flight to Boston just now. So
the two Sues, they were the first in the first three to sign up. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them out there next month. The 5G thing, I just wanted to close that out. Eric talked about it in detail a couple of weeks ago. They, not surprisingly, the airlines and the tower and the FAA, the people who build the cell towers and the FAA all got together and they worked out an agreement so that they're positioning the towers in an area that won't interfere with the frequencies on the airplane. So not a big surprise at all. And people say, aren't you afraid when things like that pop up? No, when they pop up, then they get the light, and then that's the least thing I'm afraid of. The things that bother me is the things that I don't know that I don't know. Those are the things that make life more interesting. So anyway, thanks, Eric. Thanks, Dieter. And thanks to you all for watching us again. And if you're on the edge and on the line and you need some more support or, questions asked, don't hesitate. Captain Ron at FearlessFlight.com, and we'll get you the answers, and hopefully we can get you in the class if you're ready. All right. So thanks a lot. Have a great week, everybody, and stay warm if you're out in the east. Actually, it's been cool in Phoenix, but not like the east. So come back again for our next Fearless Flight Live next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you guys.